Topping our lineup on this Monday here on the Now, we saw 225,000 jobs added last month across the country, and it may have you thinking about getting a new job. We have some advice on how to start your search even while you're working. Now, the pain from migraines can be really debilitating, but we're going to show you how a popular beauty product is offering relief for people after nothing else worked. Now, you may have some pretty high expectations for just how Valentine's Day is going to go, but ahead here on the Now, we have a bit of a reality check so you don't end up disappointed.
Thank you, Chris. I'm Amanda Starrentino, and you're watching the Now Indy. Working for you, our TV6 is looking into your concerns about dark places along the interstate because lights are out. Back in January, we told you about 3 high traffic areas, and we got to work. Here's what we found out about the outages. Along Lafayette Road and I-65, some homeowners complained the lights were too bright in their backyards along Moeller Road. 3 lights were turned off. The next area, I-465 near East Street. IPL was working on replacing meter service. In several cases, the workers mistakenly did not turn the breakers back on. And on northbound 65, several lights near mile marker 109 near the north split are still out. IPL is doing service work to several light meters in that stretch of road. NDOT says once it's made aware of an outage, its contract has 30 days to replace the bulbs or make repairs.
Safety obviously is our #1 priority for every Hoosier that, crosses our path on our interstates every single day.
If you need to report a light outage on the interstate, the best way to get results is to report it to indot4u.com. And today, members of the Indiana House of Representatives took a little time away from their official duties to extend a helping hand to homeless veterans. They worked with members of the American Legion to fill care packages for Indiana's homeless veterans. The bags include non-perishable food and hygiene items that will be distributed around the state to veterans who have no place to call home.
We think that this is going to really shine a light on the plight of the homeless veterans and help people more understand, that it's our responsibility, it's everybody's responsibility to make sure that we can make them whole again and be not homeless.
He said according to 2018 figures, Indiana had 574 homeless veterans. Of that number, 43 had no shelter. Members of the House hosted a donation drive to collect the items that were packaged today. Kevin.
Does it feel like Monday?
It definitely feels like Monday.
It feels like Monday. We could use some sunshine, definitely. We were here late last night. Maybe you joined us after the Oscars for the news, the late news. The Oscars were, what did they run till, about 11:20,
11:30-ish.
We always try to guess when the Oscars might end. That's harder to predict than the weather, I can tell you that. 37 in Indy now with a cloudy sky. Kokomo, temperature mid-30s. Everybody about the same here. That wind is out of the north. It's rather light. I show you the radar because there's nothing on it. That's the good news. We're dry and will be when we get together to talk tomorrow evening at this time. The wind out of a colder direction. We had our high temperatures today technically after midnight. We've been in the mid-30s then throughout the day. As you look at the forecast highlights tonight, stays cloudy, temperature steady through 11 o'clock. That light north wind will continue. Eventually our temperatures will land here in the upper 20s in the morning. A dry drive to work.
The Justice Department has charged 4 Chinese hackers with stealing personal information from Equifax. The department says the hackers are with the Chinese military and they're accused of breaking into Equifax's computer networks. And not only are they suspected of stealing that personal information of tens of millions of people, they're also accused of stealing Equifax trade secrets. Let's start the Now News feed. The Justice Department says it is keeping a close eye on the 2020 election. The Attorney General saying today the DOJ set up a process to receive concerns about candidates and the president's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani. Tough news in the hopes for an Alzheimer's cure. 2 drugs failed to prevent the slowing of mental decline in a study. They were trying to remove a harmful protein that builds up in the brains of patients. Multiple reports say more than 100 American service members suffered traumatic brain injuries from an attack on a base in Iraq. That number has gone up by nearly 40 cases since the end of January. Trump administration initially claimed no service members were hurt. Well, no surprise here. Many of us are just paying too much when it comes to car insurance. The amount that we pay for annual premiums is at an all-time high. According to The Zebra, which is an insurance comparison site, the average annual premium hit more than $1,500 last year. That's about 30% more than what we were paying in 2011. Now, part of that has to do with drivers not shopping around. Experts say it's important to always search for a better deal.
Definitely shop around every 6 to 12 months to make sure you're getting the best rate and make sure that your coverage is comparable as well.
Consumer Reports says you can start by going to insurers, then take those quotes to an independent agent and see if they can find a better rate. The Zebra also says a higher deductible may end up saving you more money in the long run. Now, this is usually only recommended if you have an older car. Now, there are some factors that are out of our control, mostly regarding where you live and how weather affects it. In Texas, for example, rates went up steeply for 2 years after a series of major storms and hurricanes. Rates finally started decreasing this year. All right, next in our lineup here on the Now, we saw 225,000 jobs added last month across the country, and it may have you thinking about getting a new job, but that can be difficult sometimes to get that new position while you're still working. But we have some advice on how you can make it happen.
Soon, students, staff, and visitors can get tampons, pads, and similar products for free at Purdue University. Student advocates have been pushing to make feminine hygiene products free for several years. Audrey Ruppel, the chair of the Equity and Diversity Committee, is part of a faculty group that supported this change.
So I think that we've been breaking down a lot of barriers in society at large, but I think that this is also something that as a university we really need to be at the forefront of. Having these conversations about these silent issues. They're only silent because they're not affecting those in majority. And the reality is that now we do see that an increased population of women that are going to college and seeking higher education. We're seeing more and more women that are attaining, that are in these spaces. So I think that it's really important that we're at the forefront of this issue.
Free products will be available in every campus bathroom that already has feminine hygiene dispensers.
Let's start the Now newsfeed. LGBTQ advocates are taking the U.S. government to court. It's over government policies on people who are HIV positive. 2 Air Force members filed the suit saying they were discharged after being diagnosed with HIV. A new study says increasing the amount of grocery stores where you live can not only save you money, but also can help save the environment. Researchers say people spend less when there are more stores around them. Now that cuts down on food waste. It also can help fight climate change. Tyson Foods going high-tech with tracking chickens. Food companies planning to use AI to track how chickens move in its plants. Now they hope by having a better understanding that they can reduce waste and cut costs. More companies are working to make sure their employees are happy, but that doesn't always work. New data from LinkedIn shows nearly 1 in 4 people have either mixed feelings or unhappy in their current job. LinkedIn says when you feel that way, it's time to break up with your company. But looking for that new job while working can get complicated. Now, the first thing on your to-do list should be sign up for job alerts. That way, you are automatically alerted when a new job opening comes up. You don't have to spend extra time finding them. When it comes to listing job references, you could list your current managers, but obviously make sure you have a good relationship with them first. And let them know that you want to list them so it doesn't catch them off guard. Now, once you've landed that interview, career experts at LinkedIn say be honest, especially when they ask you why you're looking for a new job.
You really want to think through kind of what really are the reasons that you're leaving your current job. Are you interested in new opportunities? Do you not feel like you're learning anymore? Are you looking for more flexibility? Those are the type of things that if they are, in fact, why you're leaving your current job, you should feel free to spotlight.
Now, you could see your managers and colleagues again throughout your career, so LinkedIn says it is important to maintain positive relationships. All right, more in our lineup here on the Now. It is a solution for chronic migraines that you may not have considered. How a popular product that's used in the beauty industry is now offering some people relief. Americans spend 70 billion hours in a car each year. That's almost 10% higher than it was in 2014. Kai Beach is looking at how the state of America's roads affects that number.
Pretty rough. Sometimes you feel like they laid it upside down instead of the right side up.
Whether from high in the sky or where the rubber meets the road, it's easy to see and clear to hear. Oklahoma drivers are dealing with rough roads.
You're having to dodge potholes almost as big as this truck here. Very dangerous. I mean, very dangerous.
For decades, Oklahoma has been ranked one of the worst in the country when it comes to road conditions.
All the way through the 90s and 2000, this was really an issue that had consumed us in terms of what do we do.
Terry Angiers with the Oklahoma Department of Transportation. It says of the state's 33,000 lane miles of federal highway, 70% are in disrepair.
Also, the pavement is one of the worst pavements in the city area that we're going to take care of.
To help rebuild roads and ultimately keep drivers safe, ODOT was recently awarded about $800 million for projects, with equal amounts of money coming from state and federal funding. National numbers show Oklahoma isn't alone when it comes to states dealing with dangerous driving conditions. According to the American Society of Civil Engineers, poor road conditions cost Americans their money and their lives. The ASCE's 2017 Infrastructure Report Card gave America's infrastructure system a grade of B+, saying 45% of the nation's highways are in poor condition. The ASCE also estimates that rough roads are likely a factor in almost 1/3 of all traffic fatalities, adding they also cost drivers $131 billion a year in extra vehicle repairs and operating costs. And now with more funding, leaders in Oklahoma are taking better care of the roads, with stats showing Oklahoma has gone from near worst to almost first.
And Oklahoma is really on the verge of a renaissance of improving a lot of its areas, and I believe transportation as the backbone has a lot to do with that.
Going forward, the ASCE says America must invest more in its infrastructure, and that delaying only escalates the cost and risk of our drivers and our economy. I'm Kai Beach reporting.
February tends to bring rain and dirty cars, and it gets to the point where many drivers just give up on keeping theirs clean. But consumer reporter John Mattery shows us 4 good reasons to wash your car so you don't waste your money.
Winter is the time of year you need to wash your car the most because it gets mucked up every few days. But with shorter winter days, many drivers will go weeks without a wash. Is that a good idea?
Unlike Clark Griswold, most of us don't want our cars to be an embarrassment. So consider a car wash on those sunny February or March days.
The weather's going to be nice, so I decided that I'd get a car wash.
Auto body shops say there are 4 great reasons to clean that muck off your car. First, washing improves visibility by keeping the mirrors and windows clean to see other cars. 2, a clean car keeps your hands and clothing clean. 3, it keeps the paint shiny and prevents rust. Dust and minerals in road dirt will damage paint over time. And 4, washing improves your car's value. A clean car outside tends to be cleaner inside, which gets better trade-in. But from the Doesn't That Stink file, 1 reason to not wash your car. You may not want your car to stand out in a bad neighborhood by being the shiniest car on a street of clunkers. However, that nasty car might have you saying, "Doesn't that stink?" after a while. Because if it's dirty, it's hard to have much pride in your ride.
Bottom line, unless you're trying to blend in with the neighborhood of old, dirty cars, give yours a wash so you don't waste your money. Working for you, I'm John Mattery for RTV6.
Well, if you did wash your car today, it'll sparkle for 24 more hours. Then we'll bring some rain and snow back into the picture on Wednesday. Here are your headlines. Dry for the next 24 hours. We need it after 1.5 inches to 2 inches of rain widespread over central Indiana. There's the next weather system, arrives right in the middle of the week. It will be the second half of the day when it arrives on Wednesday. Very cold Friday, which happens to be, as you already know, Valentine's Day. Temperature in Indy, 37 now, about where we should be this time of year. Terre Haute at 36. As you look at these temperatures with the cloud cover everywhere, we all share a north wind. Temperatures not changing much. Between now and 11 o'clock tonight, we'll hold on to cloudy skies and temperatures around the freezing mark. Tomorrow, I just want to show you, watch the gray here disappear through the day, which means clouds thin enough that I think we'll see at least some sunshine. Don't want to get our hopes up too much, but any sunshine will be welcome. Hourly forecast for tomorrow will start in the low 30s. By noon, you're looking at 36. We should manage 40, maybe 41 degrees, depending on how much sunshine does slip through. Temperatures from north to south. Upper 30s to lower 40s at 42 in Bloomington and in Bedford. Dry in the morning Wednesday. Then as we get to the afternoon, a rain-snow mix. Notice temperatures are above freezing, so even the snow melting on contact at the beginning. And there's the rain, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, mixing with some snow as it comes north into the evening hours. Talk more about the next 4 days coming up.
Let's start the Now Newsfeed. Congress is trying to protect people from surprise medical bills. Committees released proposals to have a mediation process when insurers and out-of-network providers can't agree on a rate. Congress's efforts to end surprise billing fell apart last year. Today, the BMJ warning that apps claiming to be able to assess the risk of suspicious moles may not be accurate enough to spot all skin cancers. The Journal reviewed 2 apps, Skin Vision and Skin Scan. Neither has FDA approval. Researchers found the apps failed to flag moles that clinicians flagged as suspicious. They also found the Skin Vision app gave false positives. The FTC sounding the alarm on fake check scams. They say that scammers will send people fake checks, then try to get those people to send money back. These scams cost people more than $28 billion last year. Pollution can be deadly. A new study saying daily exposure to ground-level ozone pollution is associated with an increased risk of death. Study in BMJ says that stricter air quality standards could prevent thousands of deaths every year. New technology could help patients understand why a miscarriage happens. A New York doctor found a faster and cheaper way to test fetal tissue. The test takes just 4 hours and costs less than $200. Neurologists are using a product historically used in the beauty industry to combat chronic migraines. Chloe Nordquist is looking into how this works.
Every 12 weeks, Shannon gets Botox in 31 injection sites around her head.
You did one wonderful.
To be a candidate for Botox, you have to have more than 15 migraine headache days per month, and you have to have failed 3 of the oral pill preventative therapies.
Every migraine medication that they would give me was failing, or the side effects would be too bad to where I couldn't continue the medication any longer.
To even begin to understand Shannon Stone's pain, you have to know her story. She started getting migraines in 2002 and found Botox as a solution only 2 years ago.
This is after my very first Botox injection.
Did this kind of impact what you were able to do on a day-to-day basis?
Absolutely. You can't focus, you can't function.
Shannon and her doctors believe the migraines stemmed from a car accident in 2002.
I fractured 3 vertebrae in my neck, and the windshield had went through the right side of my face. And so the healing of all of that had just caused a lot of neurological and muscle and tissue damage and all that.
It was a bad accident. We barely survived.
Robert is Shannon's son. She was 9 months pregnant with him during the accident, and as he grew up, he took on more of a role in the family to help when Shannon was in pain.
My boo boy.
I had to cook dinner a lot of the times and make sure my sisters, got whatever they had to do for the night, homework, take a bath and stuff.
There would be times where they would last for like 3 or 4 days at a time, with minimal breaks.
The FDA approved Botox as a treatment for chronic migraines back in 2010.
Botox is for a specific person. It is for a specific chronic migraine patient.
A study by the American Society of Plastic Surgeons shows that 3 months after injection, patients treated with Botox had an average of 1.6 fewer migraine attacks per month.
There are no imaging changes that would show up on an image in chronic migraine patients. How Botox works is relatively unknown, but the theory is that it deactivates pain receptors in the brain to reduce neurotransmitters that send pain signals to the brain. This is a normal brain.
For Shannon, it's helped her spend more time with her kids.
You can really see an improvement in her and just her overall appearance. She doesn't look, down all the time. She's not always sleeping.
I can still move my eyebrows. I can still move my face. I just can't make an angry face. And that's pretty much it. And that lasts the whole time.
I'm Chloe Nordquist reporting.
Really interesting stuff, Chloe. Thank you. Now, finally in our lineup today here on the Now, you may be making plans for Valentine's Day this week and have pretty high expectations for how the day is going to go. But ahead, we talked to some experts to give you a bit of a reality check so you don't end up disappointed.